Today I'm going to cover the entire embarkation process. That will include an online walkthrough for both the Royal Caribbean app as well as online. I'm going to tell you what you need when you check in. I will also let you know what you need on the day of your cruise when boarding so you can actually get on the ship. Mistakes here can cost either time trying to get on board or being denied boarding altogether. I want you to be prepared, so I'm going to cover things that you should have already done prior to 45 days to sailing, just in case you haven't, and the things you'll want to do before you ever get on board. Before I show you the step-by-step process for your phone or computer, I did quickly want to touch on what you should have already done before check-in. Listen up, because this is important. The most important thing is to make sure you have all the necessary documents for both the ship or even the airplane. The things that are needed are your passport or your actual birth certificate and a proper ID. Ideally, you're going to have a passport that doesn't expire within 6 months. You will likely be denied boarding if your passport is going to expire 6 months or less before sail date. Yes, I'm serious. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm trying to help. If you haven't gotten a passport, but you're planning to get one, you will want to plan for enough time for it to arrive. If you research this online, you will likely see it takes 6 to 8 weeks. If you're following other cruise groups on Facebook that are nearing their sail date, you'll read plenty of stories of people in a panic because they haven't received their documents yet. And they're wondering what to do if their passport doesn't arrive on time. For this reason, and my own personal experience of passports taking longer than expected, I would recommend applying 6 months prior. The 8-week lead assumes there's no issues, and even that's not always timely. You may need to provide clearer information if something is illegible or a picture is insufficient. A bad quality image, wrong color background, or an image of the head is too large or too small are major reasons for denials. If for some reason you didn't receive your passport or you haven't applied yet, you still may be able to go on your cruise if it's a closed loop cruise that begins and ends in the same U.S. port by using your birth certificate. For example, if you're leaving Miami and the ship's returning to Miami, an actual legally embossed birth certificate and an acceptable government ID like a driver's license or state ID is perfectly acceptable, at least to this point in 2024. Real IDs are going to be a thing at least in 2025 for some flights. How and when real IDs affect cruising hasn't been determined yet, or even discussed that I know of. If you haven't purchased insurance yet but intend to, there are companies like Alliance that still offer insurance closer to sailing. I can't recommend enough the importance of having good travel insurance, especially in regards to insurance that covers medical emergencies. Typically, your health insurance here in the US doesn't cover any of that. Other things you should have done by this time is book your flight and have your hotel room set up for the night before. Flights go up as you get closer to when you want to leave, and planning ahead is also a money saver. Also, you'll want to get a hotel room that's closer to port. While many may just look at the price of the room when they're deciding where they're going to stay, things like shuttle from the airport to the hotel or the shuttle from the hotel to the cruise terminal should be taken into account. And if they don't, what about the cost of that Uber or Lyft to get there? Do they have breakfast? You're going to be paying for it one way or the other, or maybe it's included. That should be a part of what you're considering when you're figuring the price of your hotel. Okay, for the information you've been waiting for. Your cruise check-in opens 45 days prior to embarkation. The sooner you check in, the better your chance is of getting the boarding time you prefer. Boarding times disappear as they fill up. The earlier times usually fill up first, because why wouldn't you want to get your vacation started? First thing you need to do is go to the Royal Caribbean website or app and log in. The app is much easier to use for this. For example, you'll need to take pictures of yourself and your passport and then download them to your computer and then upload them to the Royal Caribbean website if you're using the website version. For the desktop version, you're simply going to log into the website, then click your name in the upper right. On the bottom right, under the cruise, it says check-in. From there, you'll simply follow the prompts, inputting all the information or double checking what's there. It's asking for name, address, phone number, and other personal information. It will want a picture ID that fits the size and clarity requirements, which is why I say it's easier from the app. This will have you take a picture of your passport and upload it, and pick a boarding time as well. From the website, that's it. You're done until a few hours before boarding when you'll need to fill out the health questionnaire. For the Royal Caribbean app, as the website just said, it's a requirement anyway. That's why this is my preferred way for this reason, as I've already stated. First, open the app. Log in if it doesn't do it automatically. At the top, you'll see 3 icons. The third one, a face and shoulders, needs to be selected. If that cruise isn't up first, press select different cruise. Then tap on the cruise. If that's your only cruise, you can likely skip that step and go straight to the page. Bottom of the screen, the second icon from the right says check-in. The last one, health status, is done just a few hours before your cruise. This will not be opened up for you if it's too early to check in. The middle choice, arrival time, can be done by itself, so you can pick your embarkation time and then come back later to finish it. This is important if you stayed up all night to check in and wanted to just nab the earliest boarding time, because then you can pick your time and go back to bed and do it all later. Once again, check-in will begin 45 days prior to sailing, just after midnight at the embarkation port. For example, a ship that embarks out of Miami is in Eastern Time. So around midnight Eastern Time is when it will open up for check-in. I'm in the Central Time Zone, so midnight Miami for me is 11 p.m. the night before. If the ship was out of California, that would be 2 a.m. Central Time. Again, you can pick your check-in time and go right back to bed and do your check-in later. You can also do the check-in for the other people that are listed with you. So like for me, my wife can go to bed and I can do the check-in. That way I'm sure that we both get the same check-in time. To complete the check-in, you will be scanning your passport and getting a picture of yourself, verifying your Crown and Anchor number and personal details such as where you are from, your phone number, and emergency contact. You will also need to put a credit card on file that will be used for your onboard spending. Click that you accept the legal terms and continue. As with the computer version, the health status will open a few hours prior to sailing. Before I get into what you need to do for embarkation, let me tell you a few helpful things to do leading up to that day. If you haven't done this already, and I highly recommend it, research what excursions you would like to take at each port of call. Excursions can absolutely sell out, and waiting even this long could cost you a chance to do something. It is monumentally important. If you see something that you really want to do, it's probably monumentally important to someone else, so make sure you get it booked. If your cruise doesn't have the excursion that you want, or it's sold out, consider using a third-party site like Viator, or contacting the facility directly. You may not be out of luck. The next thing to consider is the port city and what that city may have to offer. Spending time making sure you get the most out of your vacation can be both fun and fruitful. Find out what the city is known for. There may be more there than you think. I've been to places and came back and friends asked if I went to XYZ and I didn't even look to see what XYZ was and missed the whole thing, which in hindsight was a big deal, but I didn't look past my narrowly focused plan and missed the opportunity. Another thing you might consider is joining a Facebook group that is specific to the cruise you're going on. In my experience, they are all out there. Unless your cruise is way out there, you may need to start it yourself, but they're going to be there. First, let me caution you, don't let the whiners and negative Nancys ruin your vacation as they complain and complain. There's plenty of those people out there, don't let them get to you. It's a great cruise, just enjoy yourself. So why am I recommending it? It's a great place to meet people, and you'll see events that are not ship sponsored. Of course, you can post questions and read others' answers. Just remember, many of those answers are subjective. Many of their thoughts are on a one-time experience that doesn't take into account the mood they were in at the time of posting it, nor does it typically consider your situation. It's simply what they did. Also, they likely haven't tried or even dug into other options. Take the info, but with a grain of salt. Get many people's opinion if you want some information, or find a seasoned cruiser on YouTube and follow them and others. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget about parking or arranging transportation to the port. I prefer to park right at the port. Setting this up can be done online, and with some digging you may find a code for savings. But to me it's about the convenience. Often the savings from parking farther out doesn't measure up against the time wasted to get on the ship. But more importantly, getting off the ship. You have thousands of people trying to get off at the same time from one spot, the cruise port. Traffic can be a nightmare. Waiting on shuttles can be very time consuming. Waiting on taxis, waiting on Ubers and Lyfts, all the ride shares take forever. Plus, rideshare prices go up when there's a surge, and when you've got thousands of people getting off a ship, that's a surge. Those drivers know that if they wait and don't take your requests, that price is going to continue to go up, and then they'll be able to take it, and your ride has gotten significantly more expensive. If you have transportation for getting off the ship, or simply parking at the port can save you lots of time and frustration. Make sure you research your ship as well. Looking at ship tour videos can make you much more comfortable when you arrive, particularly if you're new to cruising. The size of the ship can be overwhelming, magnificent, but mind-boggling that they can put so much on a ship. And having an idea of where things are can be very helpful. Planning some things in advance can be very helpful to make sure you don't miss things that are the most important to you that you wanted to do. All right, let's move up to just before you board. A few hours prior to boarding, you will need to fill out the health questionnaire that you can either do in the app or online. This is mainly to determine if you're sick or not. No one wants illness on board the ship. Another question is regarding pregnancy. Royal Caribbean cannot accept guests that are more than 23 weeks pregnant. Answering yes to any of these questions could lead to a denial of boarding. If you're unsure about any of these questions, you'd probably be best to wait and ask somebody at the cruise port. You can't change your answer once it's selected. The app will lock you out from any changes. So be sure of what you're selecting before you select it. This is a good time to reiterate the importance of good cruise insurance. You will also want to open the app and play all of the safety videos, as this is a part of the muster drill that you're required to take according to maritime law. Everyone must complete it. Some cities have multiple terminals. Make sure you arrive at the proper terminal because you could end up miles away from where you needed to be. If you're unsure, you can find the exact address on the boarding documents. This is another reason we always prefer to print ours. We covered those just in case scenarios. Okay, you've parked, you've gotten a ride to the terminal, now what? Well, you will first get your luggage to the porter. I usually tip here a few bucks a bag, but it's not required. If you forget a tag or a tag falls off your luggage, the porter will have a blank for you to fill out. Typically, you're the one that's going to fill that out, so you're going to make sure you have a pen with you. Otherwise, you're going to be trying to borrow from someone who's just as eager to get on the ship as you were. It's boarding time! It's very important that you've completed the check-in process prior to this. It makes the process go so much faster for you and everyone else. Nobody wants to be behind the person that doesn't have their stuff ready waiting in a long, long line. It's vacation time. Have your passport and set sail pass ready when you start engaging the staff. Make absolutely sure these are with you and not in your checked luggage. Again, this is important. Make sure your papers and passports are with you and not in your checked luggage. Once you hand those bags over to the porter, you're not going to see those bags until you've been on the ship for several hours. If you accidentally packed your documents on that checked luggage, you're not going to go on a trip. They're not going to be able to find your luggage in time, and I know it's frustrating, but unfortunately, you need to have your documents with you. There's too much happening with Royal Caribbean. There's no way to check that luggage to find where yours is at. You're just out of luck. Next, you'll be going through security. Any bags unchecked with the porters that you're going to carry on will need to go through the scanner on a conveyor belt, along with the electronics and basically everything else in your pockets. Obviously, you can't have anything that's on the Royal Caribbean banned list. If you were unsure, you needed to check before this point. Royal Caribbean has a list of banned items that hopefully you went through before we got here. Clothes irons, non-approved alcohol, knives, even some toys could be issues. A parent had a toy gun that was wrapped for their child's birthday that was going to happen on board. The scanner caught it and it was not allowed. Now that may seem ridiculous, but unfortunately, someone's probably found a way to take a real gun and make it look like it's a toy. Chances can't be taken. You're going to go in and find your boarding area. When you're going in, there'll be a different line for suite guests, key guests, or just everybody else getting on board. Make sure you get in the proper line. You'll be waiting for your check-in time to be called. Sometimes when things are really flowing, you'll be able to just walk right up and hand the person your paperwork, which has your SeaPass, or you can have it downloaded on your app and ready to go. They will scan the barcode and you're able to board. From there, you'll be headed to the ship. Be sure to enjoy that moment when you step from the gangway to actually being on the ship. Marvel at the beauty and take in everything. I know you're excited to get started on your vacation, but one more thing is required. Everyone must go to their muster station and complete their muster. Your muster station is printed on your boarding documents or set sail pass. If you've done the online portion prior and with the sound up, you're just going to be there for them to note that you know where to go in case of an emergency. They'll scan the barcode on your set sail pass showing that you were there and you're done. Time to enjoy your vacation. Please note the ship will not sail until everyone has completed their muster. It's maritime law. Again, that's it. You're on vacation. Go enjoy yourself. If you enjoyed this video, found it helpful or informative, we'd appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and certainly share it with other people that might find this information helpful. It helps them, but it also helps the channel grow so we can help even more people. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.